Hello, friends. Welcome back to another edition of the Lovecast with Jamal podcast. I'm your host, Jamal Jivanjee. You are listening to episode 199. 199. We're so close to 200 episodes. This is 199. And today, I have, it's going to be a shorter podcast. I have some news to deliver. Some important news, so you don't want to miss it. It's news really about this podcast. We were so close to 200 episodes in this season. So I'll talk a little bit more about what's happening, what's going to be happening. It's pretty exciting for me, at least. I'm very excited, and I think you'll be excited as well. But, I wanted to just touch base with you a little bit, and just to kind of acknowledge you as a listener. If you're listening to this podcast, I don't know how long you've been listening. I'd love to know. I always love to hear from the listeners. But we've been having this podcast going consistently or semi-consistently. I think it's been since 2016 or 2017. I mean, it's been quite a few years. Time does fly when you're having fun, right? 2016, 2017, I think this is when the podcast started. And it is 2024. Can you believe it? And this is the 199th episode. Some podcasts, they'll do season 1, season 2. I have not done that. So this has just been season 1. Season 1 has been running since about 2016, 2017 or so. And it's been pretty bare bones, it's not been, the podcast is produced very, very simply. I don't have professional editors doing anything, not yet, at least. It's just been very simple. Pretty much, we have conversations, we record them, and then we get it out to the public, and I've really, really enjoyed having this platform to be able to have really important conversations, be able to share my heart with you. I just appreciate each and every one of you who are subscribed to the podcast, who are listening to this, who take the time to listen to these episodes. Really does mean a lot. And, my desire and heart is always to bring value to you, to help you on your journey, to help serve you. Obviously, it's free of charge. This is a public service that I do. I'm a life coach by profession. So this is, some of the things I do share in my coaching work make their way on this podcast. But more importantly, what I really enjoy about this podcast is the ability to have conversations with other people and then bring those conversations to you. I know some episodes are just me sharing, and that's great too as well. This podcast, there's some news about this podcast I want to share with you. Before I do that, I do have a message for you today. It's actually not from me. I have just a clip of somebody speaking about the secrets to health. The last few episodes have really been about health and about well-being, but there's somebody really unique that has a perspective that, when I heard her perspective, I just thought it was valuable. And this is actually a really unique person. She is 103 years old, still living, still thriving. She's 103. And this, what you're you're about to hear, I'm going to share with you a clip of an interview that she did recently at 103 years old. She's actually a physician. She's a doctor. She's a holistic doctor. Her name is Dr. Gladys McGarey. Dr. Gladys McGarey. She's 103-year-old holistic physician. She's also a medical activist. Over her career, Dr. McGarey has promoted better childbirth practices, holistic medicine, acupuncture. She's done all this through her medical practice. She has given speeches and written lots of books. She co-founded the American Holistic Medical Association in 1978 and served as its president. She also co-founded the Academy of Parapsychology and Medicine, and she served as president of the Arizona Board of Homeopathic Physicians. She's done so much in her career. She's 103 and she's still going, and she's still active, and she's still working and doing so many things. And, she defies what we know as health. So many people, especially in this country, aging is synonymous with breakdown in health and sickness. And people don't question it. They think it's just part of aging. It's actually not a part of aging. If you live well, if you live consciously, aging and sickness are not the same thing, and they don't have to go together at all. And she's a great example of that. 103 years old and still living well. So she has a philosophy of health, and it really is, it's not about something, it's not surface level. These are very deep concepts about how to understand from a deep emotional, spiritual perspective, how to understand health. And she has what she calls the 4 L's, and she'll talk about that. And I wanted you to hear directly from her. And then when we after she shares her really beautiful message, I'll come back on here and share some really exciting news about this podcast before we wrap up. So without further ado, I want you to hear from Dr. McGarey.
All healing comes from inside ourselves. We have the physician on the outside and the physician on the inside, and all healing is based on love. We really don't understand our own power. See, I have this kind of idea that when God created this earth, whoever God is to whoever you are, created the earth, and it was beautiful and everything was in place and the way it should be. But then he created the human being, and he said to us, now you are the only creatures that have the right to choose and have free will. So therefore, I give you dominion over the earth. And we decided that what he meant by dominion was dominance. And so we've taken over the earth and done what we darn well choose with it. And look where we are. So it's that reality, the inner part of us, we're all reaching for our true humanity. And that true humanity understands that we are the ones who do the healing. See, I've come up with what I call 5 L's. The first one is life and love. Without life, there's nothing, You can be a seed in the Great Pyramid for 5,000 years and nothing happens until love, which is light and water and so on, softens the shell and the seed opens up and it grows. Life and love are one unit. They work together. It's like a pregnancy. When a mother is pregnant, she and that baby are one unit. What she eats, the baby eats. What she thinks, the baby thinks. It's a constant process. But that aspect of reality that is that baby that is being nurtured and grown within the womb doesn't really find its own identity until it takes its first breath. So it's this reality that life and love are one unit. As we work with each other that way, we can really understand aspects of ourselves, but aspects of the world around us and aspects of other people too. The first L was life and love. So those two came together and I understood those. But the third one was laughter. Laughter without love is cruel. It's mean. It takes families apart. It has caused wars, Laughter can be cruel, but laughter with love is joy and happiness. The fourth L is labor. Labor without love is drudgery. You just gotta go to work. You just gotta do this. But labor with love is bliss. It's why you singers sing, why painters paint. It's why I do what I do. It's why you do what you do. It's what makes our hearts sing. It's that inner aspect of our being that comes alive, and we'll work 5 times as hard as we were when we were dragging ourselves along with the drudgery thing. And the 5th one is listening. Listening without love is empty sound. It just doesn't make any sense. You don't understand. But listening with love is understanding. I hope they really understand love being the teacher and love being the essence of healing. My spirit needs to bear witness with thy spirit. We need to let the energy of our being move and help, and as we help others, we help ourselves. It's that life flow that is so essential. Spend time looking for what I call the light. You know, I kind of see myself walking along with a flashlight in the dark on my path, and it's dark, and I can just go as far as my flashlight takes me. But as I'm walking along, sometimes on the side of the path, there's a light that is not very bright. It's just kind of shimmering. If I shine my light over there, all of a sudden that light becomes great. In other words, as we reach out for each other, just with whatever we have, whatever the opportunity is, and you use it and you work forward with it, you're helping people in ways that you know not.
Wasn't that a beautiful perspective? Isn't that just incredible? Yeah, just absolutely rich. And what an amazing human being. And I hope you found her to be inspiring. She's, just her example and her life, her longevity, the things she's been able to do and still continue to do. A lot of that is attributed, in my understanding, a lot of that is attributed to her approach to life from a mental, spiritual, and physical perspective. You don't get to be 103 and thrive by accident. It takes a lot of conscious living. And what an example for all of us. Now, I want to share before we wrap up this episode. Okay, this is episode 100. Like I said, it's 199. And we're going to end this season. Now, don't be alarmed. This podcast is not going anywhere. No, the podcast in many ways is just getting started. I know it's been around since 2016 and 17. It's just been bare bones. It's just really me, from a very simplistic. It's been just a very simplistic podcast. But I have felt recently a desire to upgrade this podcast a little bit. So the podcast is not going anywhere. We're going to still have the Lovecast with Jamal podcast, but it's going to get a little makeover, and we're going to start a new season. So we're going to start season 2 finally, right after what, since 2016, was it almost 8 years? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3. Yeah, it's 8 years. After 8 years, almost 8 years, we're going to start season 2 of this podcast. And season 2 is going to feature the Lovecast with Jamal upgraded. It's going to go through just a little bit of an upgrade. We're going to just make it a little bit more professional because it's time for that to happen. And I'm super excited to unveil the next season. And in the next season, there'll be the episodes will come a little bit more consistently than they have been. There'll be a little more rhythm to the podcast. My aim in the beginning of this new season is to have 2 episodes a month for you, and those episodes will be higher quality, just a lot higher quality. And I'm not going to share a little bit more. I'm not going to share any more about that right now. You'll just have to wait and see how this podcast upgrades, up levels, and just goes to the next level. So if you're listening to this and you're not subscribed to this show, let me encourage you, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Okay. So if you're on iTunes, please subscribe. And if you would, if this podcast has served you in any way, it's just it's totally free, but a way that you can give back to the show is by giving us a review. You can rate us and review us on iTunes and also on Spotify. If you would go to iTunes, rate and review us, go to Spotify, rate and review us. If you would just do that, it's just a way to give back. It's a way to bless this podcast. If this podcast has been a blessing to you. It's just a way to give back. And I would encourage you to do that. It really helps us get algorithm. And please subscribe to it and make sure your automatic downloads are turned on so that when season 2 of the Lovecast with Jamal kicks off, you'll get notified. I'm super excited about the episode that's going to be coming in season 2. The first episode that's going to be coming in season 2 is going to be really important. It's an important one, but it's just going to have a more professional look and feel to it, and it's going to be upgraded. So I'm super excited for that. So in between seasons, so we didn't get to 200 episodes. We were that close. Season 1, we got up to episode 199. But when we start season 2, we're going to start fresh. Season 2, episode 1. That's going to come in a few weeks, right? So we're going to take a few weeks off from the show while the podcast gets upgraded. And I would imagine 3 or 4 weeks. It won't be long, but I will let you know. 3 or 4 weeks, there'll be a new podcast posted, season 2, episode 1. It'll be a new and improved The Lovecast with Jamal podcast. So I can't wait to unveil that for you. Also, make sure you get on my mailing list so you get informed of these new podcasts, right? Because I also notify the folks there. You can get on I have a newsletter that gets sent out through email. Just go to my website, jamaljivanjee.com, put your email address in there. You scroll to the bottom, there's a place that you can put your email address in there and get on my mailing list. Okay. Good news, exciting news. It's been a great season 1. It's been an 8-year season 1, 199 episodes. But in a few weeks, we're gonna launch season 2, and it's gonna be even better. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I hope season 1 has been just a service to you. That's why I created it. Season 2 will be even better. Until next time, guys, take care.